And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to APAC North League, game number 3 of our penultimate match in Playday of this stage. Man, we've gone through this stage so fast. Our Fnatic versus T1, our match of the day, just because the names and the organizations in this game are so huge. But I think the story arc overall in APAC North is not as glamorous as the names may seem happening.
I think they would like the standings to be turned around.
I mean, is this golf rules? That would be great.
Maybe they're playing in the golf, you don't know. But no, they're not doing too well. And both have great potential, and they show it many times. Fnatic struggles closing out games, and then you have T1 that is getting there, basically.
Yeah, getting there, I mean, it's a way of putting it. It's easily a struggle for both of them. Obviously, T1 have been unable to pull any points at all. Haven't got anything from OT, haven't got anywhere there yet. The closest they were was versus C9, which is a surprise.
Yeah, it is.
You wouldn't have thought. But there it is. There's a stat. And that was 2 Playdays ago. So maybe they've got something else in the canister. I mean, now's the time to show it.
Yep, quite excited to see how it turns out in this game. So why don't we talk about our rosters? First of all, Fnatic. I think a lot of people are familiar with this roster, with this team, with Alfama being on the squad, with everybody performing overall pretty well, but the inability to close game. Fnatic are like the 2020 Vitality in this year, just never able to close a match.
Yeah, sorry, I was just taken aback for a minute. I was thinking to myself, is Alfama's picture a little bit more dramatic because he's French, and it's like French cinema.
But Magnet is technically half French as well. So.
Yeah, but okay, it needs to be a half mood lighting. Yeah, okay, on more to the point, Fnatic, it's been tough. It's the French cinema. It's been tough, and there's no real two ways about that, because they've had these moments of brilliance. They've had these moments of, yes, it's Fnatic. We're watching Fnatic play, but it cannot be locked off. There's so many bittersweet endings to games. There's so many moments where it's just close, but close isn't Fnatic style, and close isn't winning them any kind of trophies. They're still in contention to potentially pull third. And that's a strange thing to say right now, based on how the games are shaping up. It's, you know, they're on 5 points, Talon and Dam 1. They've both lost today, so they're still sat in the same place on 9 and 7. It's a good day for them if they can pull these 3 points, but they have to get over their own biggest hurdle, which is for them, themselves.
I think you could not have put it any better than that. Yes, the problem is 100% themselves. It's a mindset, and it takes a lot of time to get out of it. We saw that with Rogue. We saw that even with Vitality. Despite their change, it took some time, but here we are. Their opponents, T1. Now, what sort of mindset do you put yourself here, Hap?
It is the team that, of course, got invited due to Nora dropping out, I believe it was. Either way, like, they got in, they probably unexpected. It is going to be like, you know, let's treat stage 1 as a bit of an experiment, see what goes, see what doesn't go, and make changes along the way to truly catapult ourselves for the next coming stage 2, stage 3. But they might have hoped for a little bit more success with just the experiment. As you mentioned before, they are still on 0 points in the league. That is not really something you would like to see. And if you look at the team card here, you can see, which Em just alluded to, Cloud9 was the closest game. That is currently the best team in the league. So there is definitely a lot of potential right there. They had the opportunity to take points against Cloud9 there, but unfortunately not able to close that out. But what I said the day after when they played, I forgot the name. Dam 1. They also showed signs of greatness, but they just weren't able to go on with it. So I'm really hoping that they are working on that hard and just hammering it down so we can finally see at least 1 point coming in for T1.
I mean, they pushed Cloud9 to the edge. Cloud9 barely beat T1 7-5 a couple play days ago, last week, actually. So it's very surprising. I just don't know. Same thing we could apply to Fnatic. So the question is lack of consistency. How do you deal with that for this one? But let's go with our head-to-head very quickly. Our lobby's pretty much set, so we got just a bit of time. We go into game Mag and Replica. What is the comparison here? What are we trying to look at?
It's two kind of, I guess, bastion players. Two players that are kind of, they set the taste and the tone of the team. Mag had his best Playday in the game that they were able to take versus Kag, and it wasn't an easy game, but he was everywhere that you needed him to be. The other two games where he's performed well were the two OT losses, were the two very close games, and you know, he's kind of that barometer for performance and that barometer for he's playing these flex roles, he's playing these aggressive roles, he's talking and getting the team moving and putting them in the places. When he's on the mark, the show is great.
Yeah, and I chose Replica because, like, we can continue talking about 11 on this team, right? He's doing so great, so consistently as well. But Replica actually stands out to me as one of these players with a lot of potential as well. Yes, minus 15, not really the stat that you'd like to see, but against Cloud9 and against Damwon Kia, he actually showed some great promise, some great plays coming through. So I really hope that he is going to be able to show up more today alongside the rest of the team, because that is something we have been saying. It cannot just be the 11th show. Everybody else needs to show up. And I'm putting my money on that Replica is going to be the one that is the next one to spring to mind for, well, maybe some hero plays here today, saving rounds.
I certainly hope so. Certainly hope so for the entire team. Our lot is pretty much set. So let's go and check out our map very quickly in this best of one series with our overtime rules. Consulate will be the map we go to, and T1 will start off on the attack with Fnatic on defense. Yes, no, who takes it? That's the question. Very quickly, we're ready to go.
I think Fnatic could take it. I think they put a good showing in it against C9. Sure, it didn't go their way, but they can step up and learn. This is the time to demonstrate that they've been studying.
Fnatic should take it, but I'm not surprised by anything anymore in APAC. Anything can happen, so I'm really hoping that T1 is going to be surprising everybody watching today.
It's not as crazy as APAC South, but fair enough.
Yes.
Thank you so much for your introduction and your intel on this one, Happen. It is time to toss it back to our casters, Jess and Ace. Fnatic versus T1. It's a big org showdown. Enjoy.
Thank you, Milosh. And we are heading to one of my favourite maps to watch and cast. We're going to Consulate. And I don't think we've seen too much of that out of APAC North so far. But it's not going to be an easy day today for T1. Jess, Fnatic, of course, looking to rocket themselves up the table late on in the stage. They need a result here. 87% of the social vote going towards Fnatic. You see any way for T1 to overturn this?
I'll be honest, the map bans in their own right, I know the analysts might not have brought it up, but that map ban was horrible. T1 had the last choice between Coastline and Consulate. They banned out Coastline, which is one of their best maps. Like, their best maps by far. T1's one of their best maps. They've gotten rid of it. They bring on Consulate, which is actually Fnatic's decent map. Like, it's not great, it's not horrible, and it's literally one of T1's worst maps. Lost against SGA, Cyclops, Talon twice. I don't understand. Maybe they've got something freakish on here that we have never seen before, but this is not a good map for T1, and the fact that they've chosen it over one of their best maps is mind-boggling to me.
Oh, Jackalban comes in from Fnatic. Not one that we see too often, but suggests that they might be looking to just apply some roam pressure, taking out the man who can just check out those footsteps, track them down and put the ping on the map. So Fnatic likely looking for offsite holds. We've got Thatcher going as the attacker from T1. Pretty standard there, but we're going to see Nomad left available. So probably limited aggression here, I would expect, if Nomad's being brought along.
And I mean, we've seen a lot of Nomad being banned recently, which is fair enough, especially on this map in the EU League as well. A lot of teams going, nope, get it away, nope, get it away. But we haven't actually seen a lot of jump outs as a result. I think we've seen a couple of run outs as a result of impacting grenades. And that's going to be another Mozzie ban for the night. That's the second of the night coming on in. I said in the previous game, I think I said it to you, Ace, that I thought it was a target ban. In this case, I'm not entirely sure it is, more of a comfort one, plus one that a lot of teams play on this map.
Mozzie, of course, so important with those pests that can steal the enemy drones. So as a defender, you can have full use of them and buzz around the map, leave them static, whatever you want, really. Just gain as much information as you can. But we're heading into round one now, Fnatic versus T1, and I cannot stress how important it is for T1 to get off to a good start here. If they find themselves falling too far behind again, then Fnatic are the sort of team with the experience to really keep the pressure on.
Well, look at that. That's going to be a 6 pick from the Kaid over to the Aruni, and that is going to bait over to T1 that they possibly were going to start downstairs, but instead they're going to start upstairs, which, I mean, overall is now not a very popular site that a lot of teams in any region like to play on. But if you look over to Fnatic specifically, when they're on their defensive side and they do, you know, every now and then play Consulate in the past few months, they mostly pick top floor. But they have a better win rate downstairs. So if they win this, they can be confident they'll probably win bottom floor as well. That's 2 rounds in the bag. Pretty good.
Well, it starts putting you in a great mental shape, doesn't it? And as you say, they're no doubt picking up on the fact that they're against Team 1 here. They're the team that they would expect to be beating, I would suppose, if they come into this looking at the results. So why not? Take the risk and, like you say, try to give yourself that early advantage.
Well, looking at the setup, it's going to be an admin heavy hold. Possibly looked back at some of T1's matches on Consulate and know that they like to do a bit of a Consulate push. Look at where all of the players spawned from T1. It is a heavy emphasis over to admin. Good read, Fnatic. It's clear they've done their homework. Shout out to those coaches behind the scenes as well. I mean, we've got the strategic coach of... God, his name was just on the tip of my tongue. He used to be the coach for Rogue. Come on, help me out here, Ace. He's the strategic coach for Fnatic.
Krapel.
Thank you. Krapel is their strategic coach all the way from Europe. And they're obviously their OG coach. See, I can't do it. I've not had enough coffee.
It's gone. Dizzle. You got to remember the Diz God.
You can't forget Diz God. He's absolutely represented Australia in more ways than most players, coaches ever will. Nevertheless, that's a clear indication to me that support staff have done their job and geared the players up the best they can.
The attackers then still not inside of the building yet, and that can be one of the problems for them here on Consulate, is just breaking through those initial defences, which are right up towards those outer walls, with one of the Fnatic players, as you can see from the red silhouette top left of your screen there, just playing in the yellow stairs at the minute. Usually we will see the burning of their ADSs and any other utility they've got to keep them safe, and then the throwables will rain on in, but I think I just glimpse off to the left-hand side of Alphama there that he's got the rotation open into bathroom, so that will allow him to wriggle away potentially, but he just needs to be careful about his timing, because in come the throwables, and this is where it could get dangerous. He actually chooses to run towards the danger, dipping down the stairs through the toxic smoke there to get away from the nades. He wants to keep playing here. He is not going to drop away into bathroom. He's holding on to that shotgun. He's looking to put Big Papa Pump to some big use on the yellow stairs.
I can't believe how he was allowed to run down and up, down and up. Where's the person doing the hop on the top of the yellow skylight? Why wasn't Replica having a little bit more of an aggressive upside down rappel to catch anyone running past? All 3 smoke babes have been expelled. He's been able to waste so much time there. The rotate came out initially, which already wasted 25 seconds of the attacker's time, and they haven't even cleared Stigs. Oh, this is horrible. And it's going to make a big dent in the side of T1 here, as Vamos is going to be the only one left to be able to play out this round. And I said if they win this round, well, they're pretty poised to take the next round as well.
It's gone downhill very, very quickly for T1 there on this top floor attack. Now, Vamos just, I think, actually hitting more body than anything else. Doesn't do any damage to the live player that was in front of him. You could be forgiven for mistaking it as the blood puffed up from the corpse that was on the floor in front of him, but that was just simply the body of a teammate. Now, 8 seconds left to go, 4 kills to find. This round is all but done here. Vamos just looking to see if he can get any vertical angles. Shut down ultimately by Tex. Did get a shot onto Lusty as he did so. It's not going to matter at this point, as Fnatic have closed out a great first defense there. Got themselves the first round on the board, and as you say, can move to stronger sides now.
Yeah, interesting for me was that it was almost like T1, they were geared up to do an admin take. They got one drone inside there and went, nope, there are far too many bodies in here, far too many ADSs. They are prepped for us to do an admin take. Everyone, quick, rotate over to do a yellow stairs take. At that point, damage had already really been done. You get the Ash shot to come in for that yellow take to pinch up on an Alphama. No one drones into piano or lobby, so as a result, there's a crossfire from Stigs available. Too much there for Fnatic, not enough from T1. Need to see them step up a little bit more, and not to sort of take it away here from T1. I know that they've lost almost when I say almost, exactly every one of their Consulate matches, whether it be in the Korean League or it be in the APAC North League. you look over towards how they do as a defensive or attacking sided team on this particular map, and they are heavily defensive sided here, Ace. So I just think they're on the bad side to start off with.
I'll agree with you. Fnatic are moving into round number 2 then, and they're going to take press and lobby. We would generally expect to see a similar hold to last time around, really, with plenty of top floor presence from Fnatic. They're going to want to prevent too much access into places like admin and meeting, which we can see they're getting utility down at the minute. And is that the G2 Echo?
Oh, I am not surprised.
It spreads quickly.
You know what? Krapel comes from the EU region. It is not a surprise that he would be taking a lot of, inspiration from the region that he originally came from and became a professional coach in. So bringing that over to the Fnatic side, are we surprised? Did you see how well it played out for G2? I mean, imagine it plays out even half as good for Fnatic.
I mean, they're doing it the opposite way around. I think that's the sort of one thing it's worth mentioning here. G2 used it to deny a top floor plant. They were in console and office, and they bounced it up through the hatch to take the stun shot at the planter and then drop back down to safety. But the system will be the same. This time you just leave it up on the ceiling. If you need to drop it down, you drop it down. But it won't be quite as mobile in terms of just being able to bounce up and down like it did for G2, because once you come down, they'll have to move it into piano, attach it to a surface to be able to deny the plant. But still, fascinating use of the Yokai drones.
Unfortunately, Mag doesn't get much for that C4 that rained up over towards default of bottom Visa, and as a result, there'll be no, plant denial operators left outside of the 2 Yokais that you just discussed. So for me, that was a little bit of a waste of a C4, but if you can get an early impact, especially onto some of these big fraggers here, Yeti's been one that has been doing some really good opening frags. Oh no, there goes one of those magnets, and if I was Yeti, I'd be droning out to make sure there's no more, because that shield is going to oppressively stay in that position next to the long desk if he doesn't deal with it. My big thing here is, Ace, is that they've stalled out about half the round so far, and they haven't even got top floor control. T1, I wouldn't say they're slow. I just feel like Fnatic are leaving them little bits of mini games throughout the round, and there's so many mini games that they have to get through that by the time they get to the final boss, there's just no time left.
Just little challenges and puzzles there to burn the time away and force that sand down through the timer. As you can see, T1 are barely halfway across the top floor yet. They have not got themselves established inside of meeting, and Fnatic is still able to have 2 men locked in that top floor, whilst T1, they dip away back onto the outside. They're already looking at repositioning. Yeti's got himself down into Visa, and this is all going to come down to that main lobby push. Now, Replica is going to be in a very important position there on the Nomad, because that will be into meeting where Fnatic need to get and establish themselves if they're going to shut down a plant potentially. There is other options. They've got a man in bathroom, they've got the Yokai drones, they've got the Maestro out in piano who can potentially do that. But Stiggs, he's gonna take a peek out of that window there and shut down Yeti with the big Alder. Vamos, however, is getting that plant down. We can see the same technique being used, but instead of piano to console, it is basement into main lobby. Vamos taken down by Tex. Important kill, 2 versus 4, as we have them raining in on both sides. And now it's all down to Revy, the player coach, running out of time, can do absolutely nothing to find the remainders. And it's a solid defense from Fnatic.
So much usage of the hatches, not for the Oryx, not for anything else like rotating down, but for the Yokai drones. Now, I tell you what year are we in now, Ace? I have played this game from almost the beginning of its inception. I think I came in maybe a year and a half later into the competitive scene myself, and I've seen a lot of things happen in this game. Now, something that G2's done in the past year or two is start using the first initial Yokai drone to start hot droning roamers around. I like that. I think it's an interesting, addition in the way that you can use Echo as more than just a plant denial. But even more than that, they've started creating a meta where you can literally leap Yokais up multiple floors just by opening a simple hatch. And now teams are like, oh my God, this is revolutionary. I mean, how many years we've been playing? You could have figured this out by now.
The thing is, the beauty of that is what we're now going to see, I'm sure, as coaches all around looking at each individual map and saying, okay, well, we've done it on Consulate. Where else? And all you need, effectively, is a hatch in the site on the floor. That's all you need, because then you just drop your yokai down through it and you bounce it up onto the ceiling to make the challenge onto the planter. So now we're having a look at all these sites across the entire game and saying, right, which sites have got a hatch in them? Because if there's a hatch in them, we can consider this defense now. And I mean, we're going to have to label it the G2 Echo defense, aren't we? I mean, SSG were given the top 4 hold of Clubhouse. This is going to have to be the G2 use of Echo.
It has to be. I mean, we've got Shaiko spots, like you said, the SSG roam. Now we've got the G2 Yokais. I'm not even going to name it on console. I'm actually going to give them free reign on any map. I'm just call it the G2 Yokais, the Yokai Strat, whatever you might want to call it. And then for me personally, do I think that that's what saved them the round? No, I actually think they would have been able to deny the plant anyway. It just was a little bit of a redundancy on top of it to say, well, we still had the verticals. You weren't really in a position to properly challenge us. We killed your balcony presence. And I mean, it's just a little bit of, cherry on top that we get to blast you with the Yokai Blast as well. Just seemed like there was so much going on. For T1 now, Ace, I'm curious to see what you think about this. A lot of people think that they're just warming up. I argue this many Playdays in, it's probably not.
You better be warming
up. It's probably just I mean, like, how long do you need to warm up?
Yeah,
I'm not sure.
Exactly that. It's what's the saying? You don't come to APAC North to get fit. You get fit to come to APAC North. You better be ready when you get here. You can't be coming in here expecting to get yourself up to speed, because teams aren't going to allow you to do that. And like you say, Team 1 there for me, they just had no teeth, Jess, is the truth of it. They got themselves into admin, and where did they go? Did they even get past vending machines? I don't think they got past vending machines. They left Replica on the window, and I think the intention was just, right, Replica on the window can prevent anybody from playing inside of meeting. But it didn't matter, because Fnatic had plan B and plan C, and they just shut them down from elsewhere, and there was just no pressure applied to Fnatic at any point. I can't name a single challenge on top floor. There was 2 men of Fnatic, 1 in bathroom, 1 in console, and I can't name a single challenge onto them. So that for me...
it almost felt like they rotated out as well before they'd even gained control. Like, we have admin, let's go. And I'm kind of like, that's not the point.
You're missing the point here, guys. That should be
missing the point of the top floor. Okay, you've kind of made your initial ingress. You're like, we've moved the pawn 1 spot on the, checkmate. That's not how it works. You've really got to take that meeting control, or at least have that presence beyond just that upside down rappel and hope that no one shoots back. For me, I was looking over to the standings just to sort of zoom out a little bit from this match whilst we are waiting for that player to jump on into the lobby. Even if T1 win this, they get their first win on the board. Let's say they get it outright, not going into OT, they get 3 points. The Fnatic still have 5, so it would require Fnatic to lose the next 2 matchups, of which are the last 2 playdays of this entire stage. It required T1 to outright win both of the next 2. And at that point, Fnatic would sit at last, but I just don't see it happening. I don't see it happening that way, not with how this sort of game is progressing now, not with how T1 hasn't really warmed into APAC North just yet, and their last opponent is Guts. I don't know how I feel that the standings will change much, because Fnatic has a really good chance of overtaking Fab on the leaderboard here. So for Fnatic fans, if you're wondering, not all hope has been lost. Even if they do lose to T1 today, they still have a good opportunity of overtaking Fabs. That's how the standings are looking just now.
And I mean, that is a big if, to be fair, given what we've just seen in the first 2 rounds there. For a second, Jess, I honestly thought it was a tactical timeout that we were going into. I thought, wow, a T1 that desperate that we were like literally straight away 2 rounds in. This is too much. We need a timeout. But it wasn't. It was a technical pause while we got an issue sorted. So we are loaded back in now, heading into round number 3. Fnatic, they're going to take us downstairs to Garage, and then I would imagine, given what we've just seen, they are going to rinse and repeat from there.
I doubt there'll be any hatches necessarily opened up on this particular site to have the yokai bouncing up and down. No real need for it. You can just hide them around the site, and then when they come in for the default plan, that's when you employ them for their job, that plan denial. They're going to double it up. And I remember when Maestro was first introduced, that everyone was running the Maestro Echo combo. They were like, bam, this is the new meta. We are so oppressive. We have the intel from both of them. We have the oppression of both of them, the zaps from the evil eyes, and of course the yokai bursts from the yokai drones. And I'm just like, sheesh, this is why you almost always saw either Echo or Maestro banned, almost always. Today, neither of them are banned, so of course Fnatic can use that to their complete freedom here, and that's a sneaky little spot there. I like horrible.
That is horrible, and I think Echo's an interesting operator to look at, Jez, because I think the recent nerfs that we've seen to him, particularly with the invisibility of the drone being removed, I think seems to have put him into a nice spot. He's still getting used reasonably well. He's still very powerful, but he's not getting banned out constantly anymore. And we've seen shifts in how he's being used. It's forcing that adaptability and creativity of the teams as to how they're going to use him. As you said, you know, a couple of teams we've seen using him as an active droning now. LATAM, we've seen an awful lot of that, aggressively droning roamers, and it's like they're on the attack. It's great to watch.
Well, that Banshee will get dispatched off very quickly there, and that's what you want to see. You want to see the speeding up of T1, and a lot of those mini games that I referenced before are not being dealt with quick enough, and you know, they're losing players along the way, so they're lacking strength when they get to the execution. Considering this site is going to be all the way downstairs, doing a top floor down take means you must be swift. They seem to think, for whatever reason, and by the looks of Yeti sort of slowly face checking things and waiting for the drone, they seem to think that someone is upstairs, so they are trying to be a little bit careful. But as they make their way over to bathroom, they're going to realize very quickly that Fnatic is employing a bathroom hold. Usually it's by a shotgun SFG operator. This time it's by an elder player.
They're just deploying the air jabs there to prevent that rotation upstairs via the spiral staircase, just keenly not wanting to get caught on the flank. And 11, he's going to shut down Styx to begin with, so that is the big Alder gone. Lusty will trade out with one onto Yeti, leveling things up, finds himself a second onto Revy, and they can't allow him to use the reverse angles on that hatch like that. It's generally speaking, if you are above, you have that power position inside a siege, and fighting downhill does tend to just be that little bit easier. But no, they've allowed him to just absolutely rip two of them out of the map there through that hatch. Now we do have the garage wall opened up by the thermite. That gives the access that T1 need to think about getting inside and getting the diffuser down here. They've still got 11 working up above. He's going to try and get himself access into piano. He can start opening up the floor potentially, and then he could start trying to work those vertical angles. Instead, he's just going to use the hatch there onto the shield at pipes. He's just pinged it out, but I'm not sure whether he's convinced there's anybody behind there or not at the minute. But Lusty is going to find Vamos, and this just goes to show how a shield, a simple bit of utility, can just burn so much time. 11 drops the hatch, gets himself one, shut down by Lusty on a trade, and once again a round that was just all Fnatic there.
That line of sight that Lusty got his initial 2K from, remember the other day in EUL? Aces from Rogue got the exact same 2K.
I think somebody's been watching EUL.
Yeah, do you think? Wow.
I think they might.
You know what? I don't want to say that Krapella's just like gone, this is the new meta, and taken what G2 has done, Rogue has done, all of the best teams in EU, which is what you should do. You should take whatever the best teams are doing and go, if this works and is dominating other teams, let's put it into our own gameplay and see. Well, I mean, look at the leaderboard, ladies and gentlemen. It clearly is working, and T1 don't know what to do with themselves. And I can tell you what right now, Fnatic, they might walk away flawless on the half here, which actually would put them on a match point before T1 have even done anything.
Certainly would. And I mean, you know, there's, as you say, you know, nothing wrong at all with looking around if that is what has happened and seeing other teams do things well. And ultimately, everybody's looking to get themselves towards that absolute peak of performance and doing things in the best way. And, you know, part of that is creativity, of course. You know, every team has its creative process and comes up with its own idea and strategies, but the others, you know, they are adaptation and taking maybe what somebody has done against you and you find particularly difficult to deal with, or, you know, what you see somebody else do well and just adapting it and making it your own and implementing it into your game. It's all a combination of those things. But round 4 here, we are moving into the top floor once again. As I suggested, after those 3 successful rounds, this is just going to be rinse and repeat for Fnatic now.
I would love to see where that first cam went, because I actually think it goes on the fountain. And add insult to injury there, Ace. Good night, 11. The biggest fragger on the side of T1. He also dispatched of half of the Banshees. Luckily, there are none going to be present in this round. But that is such a big hit for T1. We cannot emphasize this enough. If you look over to the stats of T1 and you say, well, who's, you know, one of the biggest players or the biggest hitters for the side of T1? and then go on Siege GG, that's where we get most of our stats. He is sitting on a 1.15 rating. The next player is on 0.78. That is how impactful 11 is for his team. In fact, so much so, we get to call him the carry.
I think you've got to say it, haven't you? 11 is T1 at this point in time. There are, of course, other players in there making their contributions, but so many rounds do come down to 11 being alive or not, and that opening kill is going to be a big blow for them. Now Stiggs is just playing tight on that window there. He does not want to allow any access into admin whatsoever, and Replica is just getting himself caught up in a battle here, and all this is doing, Jess, once again, is wasting time. Revy will be able to shut Stiggs down, so that now leaves us 4 versus 4, but we're halfway through the round and there's a lot of work yet to be done, and Tex is still active inside of admin, but Vamos will not be, as Lusty shuts down Vamos 3-3 now, and I expect we might have a little bit of a lull after T1 have got themselves into the map here. They need to just evaluate, assess their position, and look to move forward from there.
We praised Revy last game for how impactful he has been as the player coach. He was put on support, thrown on support last year. He is now on flex frag, and the fact that he got the opening kill and managed to make the entry into admin, then swing in and get another kill, unbelievable. That should be Yeti's job. Guess what? Yeti hasn't had an impact kill or any kill, for that matter, this entire match so far. Revy, the GOAT, is stepping up, at least in this round. But 11, who was the only other frag holder at the moment, went down so early. So I do think that, I guess, the confidence of T1 diminished a little bit. It fired Revy up, however, and it was good to see that he was able to recollect himself. But as I say, it cast a curse. His head get taken cleanly off his shoulders. And this looks to be yet another Fnatic round, unless Replica and Yeti can collect themselves and do in 30 seconds what might be impossible.
Replica and Yeti both without kills so far. Yeti will continue without, as Alfama puts him down in the dirt. Replica manages to trade that out with a headshot. He's getting spotted out by the default. There is a lot of work to be done inside 15 seconds. He needs to find himself 2. He gets 1 onto Lusty. Can he do it? No, Mag shuts him down. Mag stepping up as he has time and time and time again for Fnatic just to close out round 4 there. What an attempt T1 made at that. I was really concerned about the amount of time that they'd burnt from the halfway period at 1 minute 30, 45 seconds left. Still no more progress, Jess, but they were able to just light a fire underneath it and very nearly get themselves over the line.
I feel like we say that about T1. Look at what they did against C9. How close was that? You know what I mean? That's something that they should not have been able to pull when other lower standing teams are just absolutely running through them at the moment. So for me, I think T1 has their days where they're on it and they're hitting shots and they're getting the trades. And whilst they might not walk away with the win, they are putting consecutive rounds on the board. Today, Fnatic on this map, I did worry that T1 had picked the wrong map here, especially against Fnatic, and it really is proving true at the moment. I will go back to what I said before, however, Ace, and do give a little bit of benefit of the doubt that T1 seemingly is a defensive-sided team on Consulate, so we haven't really seen their best side yet, so I can't judge that much.
The only judging that's being done at the minute, Jess, is on the scoreboard, and that is all coming up in favour of Fnatic. We're heading into round 5. They are 4-0. They're going back to press and lobby, and if things continue as they have, 2 rounds' time, we will see Fnatic sat on a clean 6-0 at the half, and T1 staring down the barrel of a whitewash. That is the position they are in. They just, as I've said already, don't feel to have much teeth behind them today. They're getting themselves established in the map and then unable to push forward from there. Now, if we look, last time around, it was an attempt. They got inside of admin and were unable to push across. So we can see that a number have spawned all around the map here, really. Seems to be less of a direct admin focus. We've got Replica looking towards that main lobby and looking to prevent a run out. 11 maybe droning, ready to move on to those piano windows. We've got Vamos and Yeti heading towards the admin side once again, but a little bit sort of disjointed in the attack so far.
I mean, the diffuser's over in the hands of Vamos, and it would be very time-consuming if it went down outside admin. It'd be even more time-consuming if it went down inside of admin. So I'd be a little bit worried that he does a bit of a solo push there, and maybe he's just droning out to see exactly what's going on. But Revy with the IQ is going to be able to spot out some of these cams that Mag has been peppering around the map. This is really important because without them dispatched off, it gave you so much intel. I'm talking those cams, when they're out fires, especially why that initial cam goes out on that fountain, you can see almost all of the piano side, you can see all of the console side. Those cams give so much intel, so I'm glad that they are dealing with it. But that's not even the problem at the moment. They can't even seem to seemingly get in the map.
Yeti just looking to break his way out of copy there and start pushing across the top floor, aware there could be somebody on Visa stairs, which there's nobody there to challenge him. He's just going to hold the angle for the time being. But once again, we can see Tex is still active over in the bathroom. Lusty has dropped himself back to site, but until Tex has been cleared out, T1 cannot play with any confidence upstairs. Stig's going to get the opener with a headshot from the Elder onto Replica, and once again, things start to fall apart for Team 1.
It's almost like T1 don't know what the strategy is when the round starts. They drone out areas, and then I'm trying to wait to see what their push of ingress will be. Are they going to take top floor? Are they going to clear? Are they going to do this? And then Yeti kind of just stands in a position for a while and then jumps outside. You know, the swap call's been made, and all of a sudden they've got to move. And I sort of think to myself, well, what's your plan? Where are you going with this? What do you want to do? Do you have the control for it? It doesn't seem so, and Mag will get caught out on a nice drone that was on the hatch. Mag got rid of it before they made their push in onto site. But guess what? When you push one by one, you get absolutely smashed one by one.
Vamos goes in and tries to get the diffuser down on the ground. He's chased away by a stun from the Echo drone, and then bullets just flying, zipping by his head one after another, and he decides that enough is enough and he bails out before looking at a potential second attempt here. In goes the flashbang. He's going to have a look forward for some kills. He's going to need them as Tex finds one onto Revy. 1 versus 4. They know where he is. The Yokai drone is just blasting him shot after shot, and Tex it is who locks it down with a kill onto Vamos, and that is Fnatic 5-0. And this is not looking pretty, Jess. It really isn't.
I mean, if you're Fnatic and you could just go upstairs, downstairs, middle floor, upstairs, downstairs, middle floor, and you are not struggling with any of them, I mean, it is your playground. Okay, you might not need a visa like I do. Actually, no, they do need visas. I take this back. Every single one of the Australians right now in the server, myself included, we all need visas. So consulate, I mean, we're all hoping it's going to be our playground at some point, because we all need to get out of Australia, move over to our respective workplaces. So for Fnatic, I mean, just walking all over T1 at the moment. Absolute fun fest for them. They're at the carnival.
They really are now. T1, they're going to mix things up a little bit here. Revy's going to bring along the book. So I would suggest that we're going to see a little bit of a push in towards piano from them. They're going to look to get those vertical angles. Now, as we get the setup coming in from Fnatic, they are, as we say, down in garage this time around. It's going to be their final defensive round here. My question is, do they play somebody actively in and around piano? We've seen it from Dan particularly, had an absolute field day playing out of bathroom. You know, is that something that maybe Fnatic try to replicate here?
Well, last time they went downstairs, Stiggs, and I sort of was a little confused why the Elder was in the bathroom out of all of the different weapons. Generally, you take a short-range weapon, which is the shotgun, and at the moment, they don't particularly have either a smoke or mute to play with, so that's why it's Stiggs' job, I think. So he'll set himself up into bathroom after he pops all of these hatches, and whether or not he paints the illusion that they're roaming, or maybe Lusty starts upstairs, gives him an opportunity to rotate back. Either way, that's Stiggs' job. He's a little late to the push, and that's why he might get caught out, and oh, I thought he popped in through that window with the one shot, but it's going to be the Visa window spawn peak, and I'm not sure who started that one out. Looks like to be Tex, and he will be absolutely dominated by Replica, but down to 5 HP. He had some good hits. I'd actually think that Tex, even though he's fallen, has done enough damage here to say that he died for a good reason.
Well, he's certainly taken more than 100 HP that he's lost for himself if you look across the two operators that he's been fighting with. But a good start for T1 nonetheless. They've got a gun off the board. They've got themselves some space to play in the map, but Replica will be downed here. The job that Yeti started, that Tex started, sorry, may yet be finished. He's down outside of the map, so likely to survive for now, and Lusty, he's just absolutely desperate to get an angle up onto that window. But it's something that T1 need to be aware of here. They can't just pick Replica up and then run to try and get inside the building, because if he does all that work to get him back on his feet, he's going to be wasted. Now, there's the drone. Did it spot the man underneath? I'm sure the bullet fire must have been picked up.
Yeah, and even if you can't see someone there, you absolutely have to make the assumption someone will be there at some point. So no point. Replica will rotate around, whether he goes in Visa double doors or he just rotates around completely, yet to be seen. Now that half of the round has elapsed and Fnatic is staring down the barrel of match point here, they need to make sure they put another round on the board, or even just their first round on the board. T1, show us you can put a very coherent attacking round on the board. Otherwise, now that Stigs has rotated out of bathroom, seemingly barely, I mean, he was barely harassed at all in there. They think that they can hold this side down after giving up top floor, and now the Bucks ripping apart the floor. They haven't even opened the wall yet.
T1, as suggested, have gone in and got control of Piano. They'll take off that Electroclaw with 1 minute left to go. They need to get a wriggle on. They need to get themselves down there and get that main door open, give themselves some access. Revy just pinging out the utility that is potentially going to prevent them being able to get in there and get that diffuser down. The Banshee, of course, can be a very oppressive gadget if you're trying to get other things done, particularly. If you're just looking to move past it, you can go up, melee it on your way, not too much of a problem. But if you're going into a gunfight or to get a diffuser down, it can be a real headache and one that T1 need to solve. Now, Yeti is there with the breach in charge, and that will clear out utility. So the path is now clear for Vamos potentially to go in. He just decides that he wants a little bit more space on that door to move in. Now, 11 has got the kill onto Mag, but are they aware of Alphama just hiding? They are not. And he pops out of the closet and absolutely destroys his man. Stigs gets involved as well with a kill. 3 versus 2 now for T1, but only 3 seconds left to go. This can all be won by Alphama on the Echo, but he can't find the planter. He doesn't know where it's going down, and Vamos will be successful. Smart move to take it all the way up to the reinforcement, but it doesn't matter because T1 are losing the gunfights. Stigs, he gets the kill onto Replica, and now it's all down to Vamos. 1 versus 2. He has to defend the diffuser. He's just trying to duck, dodge, dip, dive, weave all over site to keep himself alive, while Alphama and Stigs, they try to muscle their way in, and that is exactly what they'll do as the Echo finds the headshot, and in comes the disable on the defuse. It was tight for Fnatic, but they were able to win the round.
Shit, that is something that should not happen. Post-player positions should be locked down. That was the first opportunity for them to give us a convincing round. Yoko drones were still up. They managed to play in a position that wasn't seen. That was T1's round.
It was that was their moment, was when they got the diffuser down by the wall.
Yep. Absolutely. I absolutely agree that that was the most convincing moment for me, this entire matchup, for T1 to take a round convincingly. Whether or not the numbers were dwindling or not, it doesn't matter. Objective play comes first. But you could just see the guys on Fnatic, they're having a laugh. They're all just vibing with each other. I mean, that's the kind of spirits you want. You want positivity. You want everyone to be having a laugh, icebreakers. Even if they were on a 0-6, I would hope that they would be trying to employ those kind of mentality tactics with each other regardless. Because if you look over to the side of T1, there is not a smile in sight. And when you are down this many rounds, I can imagine why. But the mentality, now you're on defense. This is it, T1. This is your opportunity to reverse sweep a Fnatic that looks cool, calm, and collected.
To be honest, Jess, the problem is that it looks like the round's already lost, you know, coming into it. And as you say, the mentality is very important, because the other thing that was going on the side of T1, apart from a lack of smiles, which you can appreciate at 6-0 down, but there's no communication there. And when that communication stops and dries up, and, you know, Fnatic, they're not communicating about the game necessarily at that point. They're having a bit of banter, they're having a bit of fun, they're having a laugh, but it just stimulates that process of those call-outs, and they'll switch into professional mode pretty quickly when the round gets underway, but it's still just that active vocal element that's going on that T1 don't have at the minute. So they've been silent for 30 seconds a minute, so making that call-out is not as natural as if you're already speaking and you're already in that mode, and it could well have a big impact for them here on defense. Now we can see they've got themselves set up down in the garage. They are looking to spread themselves all over the map at the minute. We've got a couple of roamers up in admin, so Fnatic are going to have to be careful. Stigs is already heading up to the top floor, so they're obviously aware of that and looking to make that top floor clearance, and they need to, because they don't want to get hit on the flank.
Does that get it? Yes, it did. Nice. Well, there you go. They know the exact placement of at least the one that was on the top of the triple wall, and they'll get that one for free. I believe the other one is underneath the sort of generator line or the electricity box that sits just left of the triple wall. And as a result, I don't think they'll be able to get that panel, which 9 times out of 10 is the most appropriate panel to open up, especially when you're thinking about the default plan. So you do need to try and deal with that some way, somehow. And maybe Stiggs can open up above, send down a grenade, confirm that one. I believe it's even under the toolbox that sits there, so it won't even be under the generator box. It might even be under the toolbox. Wherever it is, it doesn't matter. Now that they have piano control seemingly for free, you have to be worried about Yeti, who's upstairs causing a ruckus. No hatches open, not up by what I can see. But Revy, he wants to try and get the flank going. He'll impact that air jab, but guess what? Mag will take him down, and air jab or not, Mag is on the flank watch.
3 versus 5 now as Mag finds himself a second, and he really is starting to pick up the pace in this game here as our Fnatic as a whole. We've now got down to Vamos, Replica and Yeti. They have the sole responsibility of keeping T1 in this, and they're not going to do it, Jess. The 2 versus 5. Fnatic are going to go for the whitewash here with absolute, complete and utter lack of mercy. They are looking to really dominate T1. Vamos and Replica, they are now deep in sight, moving up for any opportunity they can find, but no, Mag, as if clairvoyant, is alert to the danger and shuts down Vamos. Now Replica tries to make a challenge, finds a headshot, so at least it won't be a flawless round. It's Lusty who goes down. Alphamid tries to get the diffuser down. Mag will not allow him the time, and that is going to be a clean sweep coming out of Fnatic. Are they back? A bit difficult to judge against a T1 side that didn't show up, but Fnatic did everything they needed to.
The one thing that convinces me that Fnatic is back is that Mag, who is having a bit of a slow season to start off with, is absolutely slaying these past 2 games. I mean, look at him. Last round drops a 4K to be able to move into that, top fragging position for his team. He has been doing a great job on the flex role. Like I said, a bit slow in the season, but when all of the Fnatic players start stepping up in their roles, that's when it is clear that they are having the impact that they need to be a dominant team that we know they can be. And I think Milosh and even Hap put it rightly on the desk, and I hope they go through it when we get back. We'll see, is that it was Fnatic that was making Fnatic lose, not any other team making Fnatic lose. So today, that is going to be a real mood lifter, I can tell you that much.
Oh, it will. Fnatic have made Fnatic win today. There's no 2 ways about it. They've punished every single mistake from T1. Every time T1 have failed to apply pressure, they've gone in and taken advantage of it. But let's get back to those analysts, and we'll see exactly what they have to say about that match.
Fnatic have made Fnatic win today. There have never